This week on Brumbies TV, we catch up with the team manager to talk player development. We take a further look into the state of the competition after 12 rounds, and we meet a 21-year-old with an interesting past and a bright future.
Thanks, Ben, for joining us on Brumbies TV.
No problems, Brittany. Thank you.
Now, the game against the Rebels, what a game. It didn't come easy, though, did it?
No, it was a tough battle. The Rebels, they were playing for their season, so to speak. They've always been a tough side, but as their coach said, that was the most important game of their history, and they really wanted to ensure they were at the top of the conference. We were able to get over them at the line, I guess, so to speak, and we're pretty happy with that battle.
Of course. Now, Jordan Jackson-Hope really did stand out as well. Do you agree?
Yeah, fantastic. So he debuted as Brumby number 184, which is a great honour for him.
Yeah.
He was very proud of it.
Now, with Waratahs beating the Bulls, the race to the Australian Conference is even tighter than ever. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, they scored the bonus point too, something that we were really striving for and we weren't able to do, but the Waratahs were able to, and so full credit to them. And that's put them ahead. So, look, it's really down to the last couple of games on the way home, and hopefully we can play well enough to score some bonus points also and get ourselves in front of the rest. Obviously, the goal is to be the leader of the conference, so you get a home quarter-final, and if we can do that, we'd be very chuffed for the Canberra public and obviously the boys too.
Great, well, let's watch how the game unfolded at Amy Park.
The Rebels found the line first in a nail-biting game at Amy Park in Melbourne. The Brumbies turned to their maul to regain the lead, David Pocock doing the honours. A penalty against the visitors helped the Rebels back in front, and the next 10 minutes passed without a point before Rory Arnold used his height to get over the line. Christian Lealiafano found a way through broken play to round out the first half of scoring. The half-time Oranges gave the Rebels some spark as Reece Hodge ran into space. The Brumbies flew back to an 8-point advantage when Scott Fardy flew over the line. But the ping-pong battle continued and the Rebels again closed the gap to 3 points when Sefa Navalu ended a swift set-piece play. The game was in balance when Jordan Jackson-Hope fed Nigel R. Wong a sizzling cutout pass with his first touch in Super Rugby. The final score, 30 points to 22.
So injuries to some of the more Brumbies seasoned players allowed the younger players to come out and shine. Who else do you reckon really stood out in their performance on the game?
Joey Powell got a chance to get on for Thomas Cabelli, so he played really well once he had his chance out there. So those young guys were fantastic.
Now, it's just your second year as team manager.
That's correct, yep.
Do you feel like you've really put the stamp out of what you envisaged for the club?
That's a tough question. A lot of the time, it's such a big task that we seem to be chasing it a little bit more. So unfortunately, you feel like we're being reactive a lot of the time rather than a proactive. And that's our goal, really, to be proactive with what we do and try and read the situations a little bit better. So we're certainly going well along the way of that, but we can always improve. So I think that in the following or the next year and so forth, we'll continue to improve with that, just like the players and the coaches.
Now, I heard stories that you took the boys training swimming in a pre-season.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. So my background is from swimming, so I was able to take the boys and do some swimming lessons and swimming coaching, and the boys have enjoyed that, and in fact we've carried that on. So the boys in their own time come and with myself, we go and have a swim and do a little bit of recovery and a bit of fitness work that way. So it's worked out really well.
That's great. It's great you can influence that to the boys as well.
Yeah, I think it's for me, it's been gratifying to see them develop a new skill, something they haven't been able to do before very well. They're really enjoying it.
Now, the Brumbies have a break next week, but we all know it's not really a break. What do the coaching staff have planned for them?
Yeah, so the coaching staff themselves will start planning for the Sunwolves, and then during the June break, they'll start planning for the test series, and then after the players, they'll continue training. They've got plenty of recovery to get done. They've got some strength training and some aerobic training to do also. But we also want to encourage them to just have a bit of downtime too. It's been pretty torrid, so to speak, over the first 14 rounds. and to get to this stage and have a bit of a break is probably a good thing for everybody.
Thanks so much for joining us on Brumbies TV, Ben.
Not a problem, it's been good.
Stay tuned for more after the break.
A disappointing Blues outfit remain at the bottom of the New Zealand Conference after a thumping in Johannesburg. Not to be outdone, the Lions backline came up with this a few minutes later.
On the kick, and he has.
All the first half points came in the opening 10 minutes, but the pressure continued for the Blues in the second 40. This, Lionel Marpo's first in a hat-trick. The Blues finally found the chalk in the 74th minute. The damage had been done. The Lions' 43-5 victory keeps them at the top of the Africa 2 Conference. The Bulls arrived in Sydney, fresh from a loss to the Brumbies in Canberra. Visitors broke the Waratahs line on several occasions early, but both sides remained scoreless for the first half hour. It took some individual brilliance from Nick Phipps to break the deadlock.
Almost through. Not tackle, gets up and goes again, and it is a try.
Phipps claimed a double in the 70th minute as the Waratahs looked set for a bonus point.
Falau, and the man that really deserves it is backing up brilliantly.
The Bulls were made to work for their first 5-pointer after the 70-minute mark.
Charts out wide. They won't need the extra numbers.
The Waratahs secured a bonus point off the back of a penalty, the win pushing them to the top of the Australian Conference. In other games, the Highlanders upset the Crusaders, the Reds went down to the Hurricanes, the Sunwolves fell agonisingly short of victory over the Stormers, while the Cheetahs had a win and the Sharks defeated the Jaguars in Argentina. On the leaderboard, the Crusaders remain at the top despite their loss on the weekend. The Brumbies are just trailing the Waratahs in the Australian Conference. The Rebels' loss was a big blow to their finals hopes, and the Sunwolves have pulled clear of the bottom.
They've got a really good run home, and that's probably a good thing because they've been a little bit up and down over the last month, 6 weeks particularly. So got a good run home now. Sunwolves, Reds, Force, I think, to finish with the game against the Blues in there as well. So there's a real chance to pick up some points. Bonus points are going to be crucial from here on. So yeah, I think it's really important that they win well from here on.
Yeah, I completely agree with Brett. I think the run home is probably what sets the Brumbies apart from the other two Australian teams at the moment. They've got the Blues as their New Zealand team left. You look at the Waratahs have a couple of New Zealand games as well, which is going to make it tough for them. I think they probably have to prove it after this international window. Most people expecting them to beat the Sunwolves. They're a new team in the competition. I think it's fair that everyone would predict them to be the favourites in that one. I think the test comes in that 3-week block after the international bye and really seeing them trying to put the foot down and hammer teams. We've got to see them win, but we have to see them win well if they want to be a title contender.
Yeah, I think so. The Brumbies' depth has probably been one of their main strengths this year. I mean, they have had a few injuries. They've been able to pull guys in who know the systems. They've played there before. They're not learning on the run. So they're pretty well equipped that way, and maybe they're the best equipped of all the Australian sides. So we saw that from Robbie Coleman a few weeks ago when Matt Tamua was out, filled straight in, and he played really well at inside centre. So I think the depth is really good, and it's going to need to be from here on. The test after the international window with niggling injuries coming back from the Wallabies is going to be really important.
Yeah, I think he's pretty close to getting back into full contact training. The hard part with Henry at the moment, though, is about his Olympic selection. He obviously still has ambitions to go to Rio. They're going to organise some trial games for the 7 squad through that June period to hopefully, if he's going to make Rio, get in that squad. But I think if he's in that, the Brumbies won't see him again, but the Brumbies are hoping they'll have him for the finals. If they get in any more injuries to the backs, I mean, Brett and I might get a call up. I'm probably a front rower, a winger trapped in a front rower's body at the moment, so...
Yeah, depth is always going to be the big thing for them. It's working well so far, but you're right, another couple of, injuries in the wrong spots could really test them. Joe Powell has really so excited me this year. He only had a couple of games coming into this year, had a really strong NRC last season for the Vikings, and he's just gone from strength to strength. Every time he's played, he's got better. He's just a natural footballer, you'd probably say, wouldn't you? He's just got a really good instinct, quick off the mark, and doesn't mind a bit of chat.
Yeah.
From a scrum half, which is good too.
He's a hard nut too, isn't he? He throws himself into everything. The other one's Tom Staniforth.
Yeah, true.
In the chances that he's had, he's been absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
He's not the biggest guy, like he's not the most polished rugby player, but geez, he's got some go about him.
You see him rip in at training against blokes who've been playing professionally for 10 years, and he just rips in like, doesn't really care who it is.
I would say maybe Jared Butler and Alan Alatoa are two guys that are really on that radar there. Alan's had a great year. He's had a couple of starting chances. He's working well in a combination with Scott Seo. And Jared Butler, I think, geez, he's got to be close. Michael Checker really likes the way he plays. He invited him to play for the Barbarians at the end of last year. The problem is the Wallabies have such a good back row with guys like Michael Hooper, David Pocock and Scott Fardy. So if you can find a spot for him, I'd get him in there.
Oh, the Wallabies will win it, of course. No, look, I think it's going to be a really interesting series. I couldn't believe England and the Wallabies have never played a 3-test series before in 120-odd years of competition. So that's going to be really interesting. England have never won a 3-test series against anyone. So I think it's going to be closer than we realise. England coming off a Six Nations win, which they were pretty impressive at as well. Eddie Jones has got them humming. He's saying all the right things in the media already. I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago and he dropped the bombshell that he still might like to coach the Wallabies at some stage.
Right.
So, yeah, exactly. So he's saying all the right things. He knows how to play the Australian media. They'll be up for it. So it's going to be a really cracking series.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to predict, aren't they? They're like, if they could match the performance of their crowd at home, geez, they'd be a good team. They have one of the best crowds in Super Rugby. They're so passionate about it. It's just they don't have the quality across the park at the moment to match it with Super Rugby teams. There's a guy in there, Harumichi Tadakawa, I think his name is. Got the Japanese pronunciation out, but he used to play and train with the Brumbies. He was so close to getting a Brumbies debut a few years ago. They've got international players in there, but there's just a bit of a gulf in standard at the moment, so it's hard to predict. They're not travelling that well, are they?
No, and they've got a big test coming up after the break too. They play their games in South Africa after the June test, which will really push them, I think. But you're right, they're getting to about 70 minutes. They're not quite playing at the full 80, but when they're on, there's not too many better teams in the competition to watch. They're fantastic. They've got some unbelievable players. You mentioned Tadakawa. Tusi Pisi's probably been one of the form players of the competition. With the new bonus point system, they need to make sure they're 3 tries ahead. They should be targeting that as an absolute minimum.
The other thing we haven't mentioned is the Sunwolves mascot. It's got to be the scariest mascot going around.
It's fantastic.
In international sport, it's just insane.
Well, we hope so. I certainly hope so. If they can win through with some momentum, win that quarter final, assuming they finish, of course, on top of the Australian Conference, win that home quarter final, then they'll take a fair bit of momentum into the second week, and you never know who they're going to be playing there. It could be a travelling South African team. It could be New Zealanders as well. So, yeah, it'd be really interesting. But once they're there, they give themselves the opportunity.
It's going to be interesting. I think they need to gain a lot of momentum, and where they finish on the ladder, needing the home semi-final, the home finals are crucial. We've seen the Brumbies of the past few years have to travel away for finals, and that's really hit them in the end. If they can play a couple games in Canberra, I would tip them to win the comp. But you're going up against the Kiwi team, which is near impossible at the moment.
While the Brumbies have the bye, the Waratahs have their trip to New Zealand to play the Crusaders. On Saturday, the Reds host the Sunwolves, the Rebels are in Waikato, the Force host the struggling Blues, and the Jaguars play the Lions. On Sunday, the Sharks are at home to the Kings and the Bulls return to South Africa from their Australian tour.
I just decided that I just wanted to test myself and see how far I could get with my rugby. Not just another player going over to France just to make money, but be best at what I do.
Now finds Tui Draki over the line.
My name is Vatiliai Tindraki, but most commonly known as Pat. And I'm 21 years of age, and I play for Gungahlin Eagles. wouldn't mind playing Super Rugby in Australia and probably one day represent Australia. Never thought of it as a young kid, but I don't know, dreams change, and if given an opportunity, I would be more than happy. Yeah. I was born in New Zealand, 6 months old, moved to Japan, grew up until I was 7, so I pretty much spent most of my time in Japan. So my dad passed away as soon as I got back to Fiji from Japan. I was 7 years old, but the dream to follow in his footsteps or as a rugby player never died. Having Henry, especially at the club, has been giving me a lot of advice on what I could do to improve my game. And I've been talking a lot with Team Director as well. He's one of my neighbours, and exchange numbers, and I actually get a lot of advice from them. At the moment, I'm actually working at a childcare, looking after little kids, and hoping to try and get a contract with the Brumbies, even if it's a development contract, just to get my foot in the door and work my hardest to one day wear the Brumbies jersey.
The Tuggeranong Vikings arrived in Griffith as competition leaders, while East were looking for their first win of the season. The visitors opened the scoring through the experienced hands of former Brumbie Frankie Fanifo. East started strong against another competition heavyweight in Queanbeyan last week. Des Vargaffa ensured the home side remained in touch early again.
And Des Vargaffa.
Callum Smith was a late inclusion into the Vikings side and was too hot to handle close to the line. The home side threatened to score from long range, but their first half flame flickered after the break. Ernest Suavai linking with Fanifo on another backline play that started the Vikings on a rampage.
No, that's Frankie Fanifo gives it to Ernest Suavai. Afternoon, he does.
Fanifo nabbed a double late in the game.
No pressure on him as he found the line under the uprights.
East defended well, but they lost prop James Douglas to a suspected hip injury, placing him in doubt for their clash with Royals this weekend. Vikings the victors 34-7.